And welcome back to Let's Play Skyrim Perfectly Modded, episode 19. Anyways, when I tell Jaggerthorn of your suspicions then, let him recover the thing. When it's safe, what does it matter who recovers it or where it lies? And he stared at her without comprehension. It matters, he said softly after a while. Well, not that much, he added. Then I'll offer you to concern yourself further with it. You just sit there and tend to your, and here he smiled at her wickedly, embroidery. And I flung the sampler at him, and it smacked this square in the face, needle thin and all. For months, been in to give birth to a fine son, whom they named Hills. Nothing more was out of the Staff of Chaos, or the Nightingale of even the staff in his possession, and they did not boast of it. Where does, 1 take place? Years past 15, happily, Hills grew tall and strong. He was much like his father, whom he worshipped. When he was 8 years old, Brandon bore a second child, a daughter, to him a lasting delight. Hills was his pride, but little Moria, named for Samai's mother, held his heart. Brother Moria was not the harbinger of better times ahead. Relations with the Empire slowly deteriorated. Apparently, and taxes were raised and quotas increased with each passing year. Now the Emperor suspected him of having had a hand in the staff's disappearance and sought to prove his loyalty. Every effort to comply with the escalating demands. He lengthened working hours and raised tariffs, and even made up some of the difference from both the royal exchequer and their own private holdings. But the levies multiplied, and commoners and nobles alike began to complain. It was an ominous rumble. Take the children journey to the Imperial City, Samantha said at the last in desperation, one evening after dinner. Make the Emperor listen, else all Mournhold will be up in revolt come spring, he grinned forcibly. You have a way with men, love, you always did. He forced a smile of her own. With you, I take it. Yes, especially with me, acknowledged Hermia. Oh, children, Maria looked over toward the corner window. Alice was strumming a lute and crooning a duet with his little sister. He was 15 by now, Morgan 8. Might soften his heart. Besides, it's high time Hillsworth was presented before the Imperial Court. So that's not your true reason, Perithian took a deep breath and grasped the nettle. You don't think you can keep them safe here. If that's the case, then you're not safe here either. Come with us, she urged. Took her hands, and in his Perithian, my love, heart of my heart, if I leave now, there'll be nothing for us to return to. What about it? I'll be careful. I can take care of myself. I can do it better if I'm not worrying about you or the children. Perithian laid her head against his chest. Just remember that we need you. I need you. We can do without the rest of it if we have each other. Hands and empty bellies are easier to bear than an empty heart, she started to cry. Now, the Nightingale and that sort of business with the staff, my foolishness has brought us to this pass. His smile to her tenderly, if so, 'tis not so bad a place to be. His eyes rested indulgently in their children. You'll never go without or want for anything, ever, my love. Promise you I cost you everything once, Berizia, I in Tyrus Septim. Without my aid, the Empire would never have begun. I helped it rise. His voice hardened, I can bring about its fall. You may tell Euroseptum that. That my patience is not infinite. There is gas. Somebody was not given to empty threats. You no more imagine that he would ever turn against the Empire than the old house wolf lying by the great would turn on her. How? She demanded restlessly, but he shook his head. Don't you not know? He said. Just tell him I told you, should he prove rectificant, and do not fear. He's septum enough that he will not take it out on the messenger. Only because if he ever harms the least hair on you, my love, or the children, help me all the gods of Tamriel, he'll pray that he hadn't been born. I hunt him down, him and his entire family, and I won't rest until the last septum is dead. Red dark elven eyes, something like gleaming brightly in the ebbing firelight. I plight you with my hope, my love, my queen, my Brazia. He held him as tight as she could, but in spite of the warmth of his embrace, she couldn't help shivering. Stood before the stone, trying to explain Mournhold's straits. She waited weeks for an audience with the Eurosystem, having been fobbed off on his pretext of that. Indisposed, an urgent matter demands his excellent attention. Your Highness, but there must be some mistake. Your appointment is for next week. No, see. And now it wasn't even going well. The Empire did not make even the slightest pretense at listening to her. He didn't invite her to sit, nor had he dismissed the children. Hilsa stood still as a carven image, but little Morgia began to fuss. And they were all mind didn't help her any. Shortly upon arriving to her lodging, the Mournholdian asked her to the Imperial City, had demanded entry, bringing with him a sheath of dispatches from Sumersi with bad news, and plenty of it. Well, it finally began, the peasants had organized around a few disgruntled members of Mournhold's minor nobility. The man said stepped down and hand over the reins of the government. Only Imperial Guard and a handful of troops whose families had been retainers of Razian's house for generations stood between Sumersi and the rabble. They had already broken out, but apparently Sumersi was safe and still in control. Not for long, he wrote. She had ready to try her best with the Empire, but in case she was to stay in the Imperial City, they wrote to her that it was safe to go back home with the children. She had tried to barge her way through the Imperial bureaucracy with little success, and to her growing pattern, Mr. Moore had come to a sudden stop. Time returned rage at the Empire's numerous major domos and fear the fate awaiting her and her family. Weeks had passed senselessly, agonizing remorsefully. One day the Mournholdian ambassador came calling to her. She should expect news from Simile the following night, at the latest, not through the regular channels, but by Nighthawks. Seemingly, by the stroke of luck, informed that same day by a clerk from Imperial Court that Euroseptim had finally consented to grant her an audience early in the morning. Her had greeted the three of them when they came to the audience chamber with a too bright smile of welcome that nonetheless didn't reach his eyes. And then, as she presented children, he had gazed at them with a fixed attention that was real, yet somehow appropriate. He had been dealing with humans for nearly 500 years now. Oh, that's why Typerceptum. And had developed a skill of reading their expressions and movements. It was far beyond that any human could ever perceive. Try as the Emperor might, there was hunger in his eyes. And something else. Regret? Yes, regret. Why, he had several fine children of his own. I covered hers, and why I look at them with such a vicious, however brief yearning. He had tired of his consort. Humans were notoriously, though particularly inconstant. After that one long burning glance, his gaze away as she began to speak of her mission and the violence that erupted in Mournhold. Sat still and stone throughout his entire account, puzzled at his inertia. Vexed to no end, Brazy stared in the pale, set face, looking for some trace of the Septons. In the past, she didn't know Euroseptim well, having met him once when he was still a child, and then again at his coronation 20 years later. Twice, that was all. He'd been stern and dignified presence of ceremony, even a young adult, yet not icy remote as this more mature man was. In fact, despite their physical resemblance, he didn't seem to be the same man at all. Not the same, yet something about him was familiar to her, more familiar than it should be, some trickster or posture or gesture, but very hot, as if... Oh. I realized why. Because he's a fake. Then she felt very hot, as if lava had been poured over her illusion. The art of illusion, well, since the Nightingale had deceived her so badly, she had learned to detect it, and she felt it now, certainly as a blind man could feel the sun in his face. Illusion, but why? Her mind worked furiously, even as her mouth went in reciting details about more of his troubles. Vanity. Humans were oft as ashamed at the signs of aging as elves were proud to exhibit them. The face of Euroseptim seemed consistent with his age. Duties none of her own magic. If any nobles have means of detecting magicka, if not actually shielding themselves from its effect in their own halls. These sorcery would bring down the Emperor's wrath as surely as drawing a dagger would. Magic, illusion. And she was brought to the mind of the Nightingale, and then he was sitting before her. Been changed, and it was Euroseptim, and he looked sad, trapped. Then the vision faded once more, and then another man sat in the place, like the Nightingale, and yet unlike. Skin, bloodshot eyes, elven ears, and about him a fierce glow of concentrated malice, of eldritch energy, a horrible, destructive shimmer. This man was capable of anything. So again, she was looking in the face of Euroseptim. How could she be so sure she was imagining things? While I was playing tricks on her, she felt a sudden vast weariness. Been carrying a heavy burden too long and too far, she decided to abandon her earnest narratives from its ills, as it was quite clearly getting her nowhere, and would switch back to pleasantries. However, with a hidden agenda. Remember, Sire, Similes and I had dinner with your family shortly after your father's coronation. You were no older than Tiny Moria here. We were greatly honored to be the only guests that evening, except for your best friend Justin, of course. His Emperor said, smiling cautiously. Very cautiously, I do believe I recall that. We were such friends, your Majesty. I was totally died not long after. Great pity, indeed. I still do not like to speak of him. Turn blank or blanker, if it had been possible. Yes, milady, we shall take it under advisement and let you know. And as the children, the Emperor dismissed them, and they backed away from the Imperial presence. She took a deep breath. When they emerged from the throne room, Justin had been an imaginary playmate, although young Eurlid insisted a place set for Justin at every meal. Not only that, Justin, despite the boyish name, had been a girl. Samantha kept up the joke long after she had gone the way of imaginary child friends, inquiring about Justin's health whenever he and Eurlid met, and being responded to in a mock serious fashion. Last, Brazian had heard of Justin several years ago, then Brad invented a joke elaborately to Samachus that she had met an adventurous, though incorporeal, Khajiit youth, married him, and settled down in Liana to raise fire, ferns, and mugworts. The man sitting in the Emperor Divin was not Euroseptim. The Nightingale? Could it be? Yes, yes. More recognition rang through her, and Brother knew she was right. It was him. It was. Nightingale, the masquerading Emperor. So many years had been wrong, so wrong. What now? You know, frankly, what had become a Euroseptim, and more to the point, what did it mean for her and Samachus? Well, Mournhold. Thinking back, Maria guessed troubles were due to this false Emperor, this Nightingale spun glamour. He really was. He must have taken Euroseptim's place shortly before the unreasonable demands of Mournhold had begun. That would explain why relations had deteriorated for so long as humans reckon time. Long after disapproved liaison with Typerceptum. Nightingale's knew Ozymandias' famed loyalty to and knowledge of the Septim House and was effecting a preemptive strike. Remember the case? Oh, yeah, taking them out before they can do anything. No danger. She and the children were in his power here in the Imperial City, and Somalia was left alone to deal with troubles of the Nightingales brewing in Mournhold. She do, Brains knew, pulled the children ahead of her, a hand on each shoulder, take cool collected in her ladies in waiting and personal knights. Escort trailing behind. Finally, they reached the waiting carriage. Even though the suite of rooms were only a few blocks from the palace, thinking forbade traveling foot for even short distances. For once, I was glad of it. The carriage seemed a kind of refuge now, false as she knew the feeling must be. The boy dashed up to one of the guards and handed him a scroll and pointing towards the carriage. Brought it to her. The boy waited, eyes wide and shining. The pistol was brief and complimentary, and simply inquired if King Edward of Wayrest of the province High Rock, in an audience with the famed Queen Bird of Mournhold, he had told much of her and would be pleased to make her acquaintance. Mary's first impulse was to refuse. She wanted only to leave the city. Certainly she had no inclination toward any dalliance with a dazzled human. She looked up frowning and was one of the guards said, "Lady, the boy says his master waits here," replied Leander. Leaning the wretched indicated inside a handsome elderly man on horseback, surrounded by a half-dozen courtiers. Cavaliers, he caught her eye and bowed respectively, taking off a plume hat. "Very well," Brandis said. "Boy, an impulse. Tell your master he may call me tonight after the dinner hour." King Edward looked polite and grave and rather worried. Not in the least love-struck. At least that was something, she thought pensively. So they all knew. Meridians stood at the tower. With no waiting, she could sense a familiar's nearness. Okay, familiar's nearness. But though the night sky was clear as day to her eyes, did not yet see him. Then suddenly he was there. And up beneath wispy night clouds, for minutes, and the great night hawk finished his ascent, wings folding, talons reaching for a thick leather armband. Carried the bird to its perch, where it waited, panting, so her impatient fingers felt for the message, secured in a capsule on one leg. Hawk drank mildly from the water until, when she was done, and ruffled its feathers and preen, secured in its presence. A tiny part of her consciousness shared satisfaction in a job well done, mission accomplished, and rest earned. Beneath it was unease. Things were not right. Even to its humble avian mind, her fingers shook as she unfolded the thin parchment board over the cramped writing, not Samila's bold hand. Is that slowly, fingers smoothing the document while she prepared her mind and body to accept disaster calmly, and if disaster would be, disaster was. Look at her deserts, Samantha joined the rebels. Samantha was dead. The remaining loyal troops had suffered decisive defeat. It was dead. The rebel leader had been recognized as King of Mournhold by imperial envoys. Samantha was dead. Bernie and the children had been declared traitors to empire and a price set on their heads. Samantha was dead. I answered the Emperor early that morning had been nothing but a blind, a ruse. Sure, the Emperor must have already known. She was just being strung along. Told to stay put, take things easy. Queen, enjoy the Imperial City and the lights has to offer. Do make your stay as long as you want. Her stay, her detention, or captivity. All in all probability, her impending arrest. No delusion about her situation. She knew the Emperor and his minion would never let her leave the Imperial City ever again, at least not alive. Somebody was dead. Milady, the jump startled at a servant's approach. What is it? The Breton is here. Milady, King Edward, the woman had helpfully noted for the city's apprehensions. She hesitated. Her news, milady, she said, running towards an eye. Nothing that will not wake, Princess said quickly. Voice seemed to echo in the happiness that suddenly yawned in a gaming beside her. I see the bird. She stood up, smoothed her gown, and prepared to attend to a royal visitor. Numb as the stone walls around her, numb as the quiescence of the numb air, numb as a lifeless corpse. Symmachus was dead. King Edward greeted her gravely in courtesy, if a bit full-seeming. He claimed to be a fervent admirer of Symmachus, made prominently in his family's legends. Gradually, he turned the conversation to her business with the Empire. He inquired after Diesels and asked if that kind had been favorable to Mournhold. Finding her not coming home, he suddenly blurted out, "My lady queen, you must believe me. The man who claims himself is an impostor. I know it sounds mad, but no." Brandon said with sudden desire, "You were entirely correct, my lord king, I know." Then relaxing in his seat for the first time, I suddenly shoot. "You know? You're not just humoring someone you might think is madman." "Sure, my lord, I'm not." She took a deep breath. "And who do you surmise is assembling as Emperor?" "The Imperial Battle Mage Jaggerthorn." "Ah. Well, King, have you perchance heard of someone called the Nightingale?" "Well, lady, as a matter of fact, I have. My allies and I believe him to be one in the same manner as the renegade Thorn." "I knew it!" Renee stood up and tried to mask her people. The Nightingale, Jaggerthorn. The man was a demon, diabolical, insidious, and so very clever. He had contrived their downfall seamlessly. Perfectly, Symmachus, my Symmachus. We were coughing differently. Whatever. Milady, we need your aid. Milady smiled grimly at the army. I do believe I should be the one saying the words. Go on, please. Of what instance may I be, my lord king? Monarch outlined a plot. The mage Rhea Silmain, of late apprentice of the vile Jurgen, killed and declared a traitor by the false emperor. She had retained a bit of her powers and could still contact a few. Oh, this is how the character gets started now. She had known well on the mortal plane. She had chosen a champion who would undertake to find the Staff of Chaos, been hidden by the traitor sorcerer in an unknown site. This champion was to wield the staff's power to destroy Jager who was otherwise invulnerable to the true emperor being held prisoner in another dimension. However, the champion, thanklessly still alive, now languished in imperial dungeons. The attention must be diverted while the chosen one gained freedom with Rhea's spirit's helps. Brazilian had the false emperor's ears and similarly his eyes. Would she provide the necessary distraction? I could obtain another audience with him. I said carefully, but would that be sufficient? Let's tell you that my children and I have just been recently been declared traitors to the Empire. Moldhold, perhaps, milady, in Morrowind, live in the Imperial City and the Imperial Province. The same administrative morass, then it possible to obtain an audience with the Emperor and his ministers, quite assures that you would never be unlawfully imprisoned or otherwise punished without benefit of due legal progress. In your case, milady, and your children's, it is further exacerbated by your royal rank. As queen and heir as a parent, your persons are considered inviolable, sacrosanct, in fact. Even the imperial bureaucracy, milady, is a double-edged claymore. So, at least she and the children are safe for the time being. Then a thought struck her. Looking, what did you mean earlier when you said I had the false emperor's eyes? And seemingly at that, looked uncomfortable. It was whispered among the servants. Jagerthorn kept her likeness in a sort of shrine in his chambers. I see. So it's wondering momentarily to that insane romance of hers with the nightingale. She had been madly in love with him, foolish woman. And the man she had once loved had caused to be killed. The man she truly loved. He's gone now. She still can bring herself to accept the fact that he was dead. If he was, she told herself firmly, my love is alive, remains. He would always be with her. That's capital H, eh? As with the pain of living the rest of her life without him, the pain of trying to survive each day, each night, without his presence, his comfort, his love, the pain of knowing he would never see his children growing a fine pair of adults, who would never know their father. How brave he was, how strong, one of all loving, especially little Moria. And for all you have done to my family, Nightingale, you must die. Does that surprise you? And his words broke through her thoughts. What? Does that surprise... What surprised me? Your likeness in Tharn's room. Oh, a feature set in nudity. Yes and no. I could see from her expression that she wished to change the subject. He turned once again to their plans. I guess it is capital H. Our chosen one may need a few days to escape, milady. You gave me a bit more time? You trust me in this, Lord King? Why? Desperate, milady, we have no choice. But even if we did, why, yes, I would trust you. Because your husband has been good to my family over the years. The Lord Timaeus is dead. What? Yeah, I related the recently events quickly and coolly. Milady, Queen, but how dreadful! I'm so sorry. Time, Glacier Pose was shaken. In the face of sympathy, she felt her outward calm start to crumble. She gathered her composure and willed herself to stillness. Under the circumstances, milady, we can hardly ask. Nay, good my lord, under our circumstances, I must do what I may to avenge myself upon the murder of my children's father. A single tear escaped the fortress of her eyes. She brushed it away impatiently. Sure, and I ask only that you protect my orphan children as you may. And himself up, as I shown, willingly do I so pledge, most brave and noble queen, as our beloved land, indeed Tamriel herself be my witnesses. This is actually a pretty good story. His words touched her absurdly yet profoundly. I thank you from my heart, my soul, good king, good my lord king Edward. You have mine and my children's everlasting gratitude. She broke down. She did not sleep that night, but sat in a chair beside her bed, and swallowed in her lap, thinking deeply and long into the waxing and waning of the darkness. She would not tell her children, not yet, not until she must. She had no need to seek another audience with the Emperor, as summons arrived at first light. She told the children she expected to be gone a few days, bade them to give the servants no trouble, and kiss them good luck bye. He whimpered a bit. She was bored and lonely in the Imperial City. They looked dour, but said nothing. He was very like his father. Meanwhile, Benny was escorted, not into the great audience hall, but to a small parlor where the Emperor sat. So to her breakfast, he nodded a greeting and waved his hand. Really a magnificent view, isn't it? He stared out over the towers of the great city. It dawned on her that this was the very chamber she first met Tiber Septim all those years ago, centuries ago. Tiber Septim, man she had loved. Who else had she loved? Symmachus, Tiber Septim, and Straw. Remember the big blonde stable boy was sudden intense affection. He never realized it until now, but she had loved Straw, only she had never let him know. She had been so young then. Those had been carefree days. Halcyon days. For everything before all this, before him. Not Similicus, not the Nightingale. He was shocked in spite of herself. Man could still affect her, even now, even after all that had happened. My inquiry emotion swept over her. When she turned back, last years and then vanished, and the Nightingale sat in his place. You knew. He said quietly, scanning her face. You knew. Instantly. I wanted to surprise you. You might at least have pretended. Well, spread her arms, trying to pacify the maelstrom churning deep inside her. My skill of pretense is no match for yours, my liege. He sighed. You're angry. Just a little, I must admit, she said icily. I don't know about you, but I find betrayal a trifle offensive. How human of you. He took a deep breath. What do you want of me? Now you're pretending. He stood up to face her directly. You know what I want of you. You want to torment me? Go ahead. I have any power, but leave my children alone. No. I don't want that at all, Brazzini. He came near, speaking low in the old caressing voice that had sent shivering cascading through her body. A voice that was doing the same thing to her here and now. Don't you see? This was the only way. His hands closed on her arms. Her resolve fading, her disgust and weakening. You could have taken me with you. Bending tears gathered in her eyes. He shook his head. I didn't have the power. But now I have it all. Mine to have, mine to share, mine to give to you. He once more waved his hands so he literally... Are you So literally he betrayed the Emperor and all this stuff just to be with her. Mine to have, mine to share, mine to give to you. He waved his hands towards the window in the city beyond. Terran was mine to lay at your feet, and... No, that is only beginning. It's too late. You left me to him. He's dead. The peasant's dead. A scant few years, what do they matter? The children? They may adopt them by me, and we'll have others together, Brazier. Oh, and what children there'll be. Things we shall pass on to me. Your beauty and my magic. I have powers you haven't even dreamt of. Not in your most untamed imagination. He moves to kiss her. She sipped his grasp and turned away. I don't believe you. You do, you know. Hey, you're still angry, that's all. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Tell me, what do you want? My beloved, tell me it shall be yours. Her life flashed in front of her, the past, the present, and the future still to come. Different times, different lives, different, Baranzias. Oh, that's her. Which one is the real one? Which one's the real Baranzia? For by that choice, determined the shape of her fate. She made it. She knew. She knew who the real Baranzia was and what she wanted. Walk in the garden, my liege. She said a song or two, perhaps. He laughed. You want to be courted. And why not? You do it so well. And long, besides, since I've had the pleasure. He smiled. Wish my lady Queen Perezi, your wish is my command. He took her hand and kissed it now and forever. So they spent their days in courtship, walking, talking, singing, and laughing together while the Emperor's business was left to subordinates. I'd like to see the staff, Perezi said idly one day. Only had a glimpse of it, Yorkor, he frowned. It would give me greater pleasure. Heart's delight, but that would be impossible. You don't trust me. But he pouted, but softened her lips when he leaned over for a kiss. Nonsense, love. Of course I do, but it isn't here, he chuckled. In fact, it isn't anywhere. He kissed her again, more passionately this time. You're talking in riddles again. So yeah, you couldn't have destroyed it. You've gained in wisdom since we last met. In spite of my hunger for knowledge, somewhat, she stood up. The staff of chaos can't be destroyed. He moved from Tamriel now without the wrecked consequences to the land itself. You impress me, my love. All true, it is not destroyed and it's not removed from Tamriel. As I said, it isn't anywhere. Can you solve the puzzle? It's everywhere. He pulled to him. She leaned in his embrace. He's a greater riddle still, he whispered. How does one make one of two? That I can and will show you. His merged limbs tangled together. And when they had drawn a bit apart and he lay dozing, she thought simply, one of two, two of one, three of two, two of three. Cannot be sort of banished, might be split apart, perhaps. She stood up, then she started to smile. He kept a journal. He scribbled entries into it every night after quick reports from underlings. Like a bureau, but the luck was a simple one. She had, after all, been a member of the Thieves Guild in a past life. Another Baranzia. One morning, Baranzia managed to sneak a quick look at it. He was occupied his toilet. And the first piece of Stavicus had an ancient dwarvish mine called Fang Lair. Spoilers. Well, let's look at... Well, I guess that's actually kind of why I wanted to do the games in order. But, whatever. Was given only the vaguest terms. The diary was crammed with dreaded events. Trend and was very hard to decipher. Old Tamriel, she thought, in his hands and mine, and more perhaps. And yet, for all his exterior charms, there was cold emptiness where his heart should have been, a vacuum of which he was quite unaware, she thought. One could glimpse it now and then, when his eyes would go blank and hard, and yet, though he had different kinds of it, he yearned for happiness too, and contentment. Pleasant dreams, Resli thought, and straw flashed before her eyes again. Looking lost and sad, and then Theris, with a feline Khajiit smile, Typeceptum powerful and lonely, Zamaka's solid, stolid Samakius, who did what ought to be done quietly and efficiently. Yes. So officially into next episode, though, so if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. See ya!